Don't just live for tomorrow, or just live in yesterday. Just be glad for all you have that's in today. And though you've come through many obstacles.
Hey everyone, Connie here, and welcome to my first impressions reaction to The Ghost and Molly McGee. So, let me tell you what I know about this series going in. I know the very basic premise, I guess, because I've seen the opening. I've seen the opening to the series, and I guess the basic premise is there's this girl. She ends up making friends with a ghost, although towards the friendship. And I don't know what that noise was, by the way. There was some noise that came out to the computer. I don't know what that was. But they end up making friends, and hilarity ensues, I guess. I don't know like where else this is going to go. I think I heard, but I don't know how accurate this is, but I think I heard that they've already said the people working on the show have already confirmed that there will be LGBTQ plus themes in this series, so that's a plus. I know that the main character Molly is voiced by Ashley Birch, who's a fantastic voice actress, done a lot of great roles. And I don't know if this is true, but I heard someone mention that Rob Cantor, the guy behind the Shia LaBeouf song, is doing music in this series. And if that's true, that's hilarious. Because it's like the Shia LaBeouf song became just hugely viral on the internet. And people used it in memes and everything for so long. And while it has definitely died down, the fact is it was that viral for a good amount of time. So I'm really curious if this is true, what kind of tone Rob Cantor is going to add to the music in this series. But otherwise, I don't really know much about this. I don't know who else might be in it, voice actor wise. I don't know like where this is going to end up going, because as we know, a lot of these modern cartoons start off a little more nice and innocent and friendly, but then end up getting very intense and impactful and powerful as the series goes on. That's honestly just a staple of modern animation, and it's not bad. It's not a bad concept at all. It just depends on how it's done. So why am I doing this for first impressions? Well, some of you probably expected me to get to this series eventually to check it out as it was. And yeah, I definitely was going to. But I think now that it's started airing, like the first couple episodes are out, I think that a first impressions reaction would actually be a smart way to handle this. Because I've had some mixed reactions to recent animated shows. Some of them have been phenomenal, like Owl House, and some of them have disappointed me a little, like Amphibia. But I think that if I give this a first impressions reaction, I can get a better feel for it. And that way, I can better know if it's something I do want to react to, or at least give a chance reacting to down the line. Because obviously, I can't get to it right away otherwise. But if I give it the first impressions reaction, that gives me a chance to at least get a feel for it right off the bat without having to wait till the actual reaction series would happen. I mean, that's kind of the entire point of the first impressions reactions as it is. So yeah, I don't fully know what to expect with the comedy in this. The opening is really good. I will give it that. This has a really, really good opening, and I'm hoping that the series follows suit. I really don't know exactly what to expect from this, in terms of tone, in terms of story and characters. And again, I don't know how serious and like intense it's going to eventually get, if at all. But we'll have to see. So, that being said, we're just going to get this started and hope for the best. So, when the screen fades to black, pause this redirect and go to the description below. Follow the link to the reaction, and after you watch it, come back here to the redirect and resume play. Because after it fades to black and then fades back in, everything from that point forward will be my afterthoughts and will contain spoilers to the episode. So, that being said, thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll see you at the reaction. And we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. So, this first episode, which is segmented into 1A and 1B, is okay. Like, I'm not, like, super invested in it or anything from the get-go. But I also don't dislike it. It has a lot of great ideas. It has some good humor. The characters are likable enough, has some great, like, character designs. But it just hasn't done a lot to, like, really hook me in yet. So the basic of the story is the McGee family has moved to Brighton, where Scratch, a kind of loser ghost, is basically set up for his haunting grounds. His goal is to keep the town as miserable as possible, and unfortunately, Molly is extremely positive. Like, no matter what's happening, she keeps mostly positive, like 99% of the time. And she always tries to look at the best, brightest sides of every situation. And unfortunately, she wants to become instant best friends with him. This is something he doesn't want, but kind of just is forced to go along with, because he accidentally cursed himself into having to stick by her side until her family would leave, like would move away. That's the only way to get rid of the curse. The second half of the episode, 1B, centers around Molly's first day at school and how she interacts with all of the other kids, and specifically centering around two notable ones. Libby, who is this outcast kid herself, and Andrea, who is a popular girl. And we get to see how, due to Molly mispronouncing Andrea's name, she's kind of turned into a bit of a social pariah for a bit as well, until Scratch ends up helping her out in the end and kind of getting her back on track. This kind of just brought us into this world and gave us like the context behind things and just introduced us to how this is kind of going to go very quickly. That would be my biggest issue. The pacing was super fast. Because it's like it takes almost no time at all for Molly to even meet Scratch. I feel like that should have been extended a little further. Like, it should have definitely taken a little more time. And for her to just like instantly accept him that quickly it's a little too quick. And it's like that can oftentimes be a problem when you have this kind of structure to a series, when you have like an episode that is basically two episodes in one. But many shows throughout throughout the years have been able to pull off pacing extremely well with 11-minute episodes. I mean, you look at shows like even from the past, like the Powerpuff Girls. There were 2 half-length episodes per episode of that. And it pulled off the pacing really well most of the time. There might have been a couple exceptions, but the vast majority of the time the pacing was great. You look at stuff like, well, I mean, I guess you could count Infinity Train, even though that's structured a little differently, because it's not really 2 mini-sodes per episode with Infinity Train, but still, it's still a half-length episode, and it still handles it in terms of pacing extremely well. Hell, even Steven Universe has done that with half-length episodes. I think it was Steven Universe, or was it Star Versus? Maybe both. I don't know. It's been a long time since I've watched either of those. um, but you get the idea. Plenty of shows have taken the half-length episode runtime and paced it out extremely well. This one just kind of goes balls to the wall and just goes 100 miles per hour at all times. It's just flying by with everything, and just the pacing could be better. The second of these 2 minisodes was actually extremely better than the first in terms of pacing. The first one, where we're just introduced to everything, it goes way too quickly. It does. But the second one, 1B here, with the first day of school and all, was much better. It still went by a little quick. It could have been slowed down a little, but it was much better. Um, I like the idea that of Scratch being this outcast ghost, and although he's trying to, do his job and everything at first, being a ghost, scaring the family out of the house and all, he is genuinely connecting with Molly in a way that feels real, in a way that feels natural, because he's kind of an outcast, and even though she seems to be very positive and seems to make friends easily enough, there is that kind of outcast side to her too, with the fact that she's constantly moved around and has constantly had to leave friends behind and just hasn't had the time to really connect with people as much. Um, and then just the idea of her being turned into a social outcast by the school, like you saw how he really felt about that and had felt the need to take action. And I love the joke about, like, oh, he is like he's going to help Molly, but then he helps Libby, and it's like, okay. I mean, I can dig that. Libby definitely deserved it too. She deserved to be helped out of that social outcast, like, prison too. But and then he just kind of does a hand wave off with Molly. It's like, oh yeah, yeah, Molly McGee, she doesn't deserve this either. Just be friends with her, whatever. I did really like that. There are also some, like, there's also some really fun jokes and stuff sprinkled throughout here. Such as in the one song, it's like you hear um the line about kombucha and everything, and it's like, oh, okay, that's pretty fun. um, and it's that's how this I view this series so far. It's pretty fun, but it doesn't have too much to it yet. And I definitely feel like it's one of those shows that will have much more to it as it goes on. Um, and I really do love that this is another one of those series that is continuing with multiracial representation, having Molly, who is a mixed race character, having a white father and a Thai mother. So I really do like that. And I love that a lot of shows are doing that kind of thing nowadays. that a lot of shows are just legitimately giving some good representation. I mean, we have Luz Noceda in Owl House, who is Afro Latina. We have Anne Bunchoy, who I think is also Thai, isn't she? I think she is, but I'm not 100% on that one, admittedly. Um, but the point is, we're getting a lot of characters in modern shows that aren't just your typical white heroes. We're getting more characters who are of color, and that's important. That's awesome. And we're getting mixed race characters too, which is also important and awesome. And we need to keep doing that. And I love that a lot of modern shows are doing that. And even there's even a lot of shows that, while yes, the main character is white, there's still a lot of diversity otherwise in the show with characters who are not, who are people of color, and are given a lot of great screen time and a lot of genuine focus and importance. Like Shira has a lot of that. Shira has a lot of phenomenal examples of representation within it. So I like that we're doing that more. I also like that I'm hearing Michaela Dietz in a lot more lately. Like, I knew her initially from Steven Universe as Amethyst, but then she appeared in the Owl House as V, and now she's in this as Molly's younger brother. And it's just like, okay, I am all good with this. I want to hear her in more things. And looking at this, she's been in other things. Apparently, she was in Fallout 76, because apparently that's a thing. She was in the 101 Dalmatian Street series, which I didn't even know was a thing. So that's pretty interesting too. Apparently, she's in Adventure Time Distant Lands. She's in Craig of the Creek, Kid Cosmic, Monsters at Work, all kind. She's in plenty of stuff. Mighty Magiswords, Lego Dimensions, Grand Theft Auto 5, apparently. She's in plenty of different stuff. That's the point. Apparently, she was also in a bunch of Barney things, which is interesting. Um, and I hope she continues to have this presence in cartoons because she's a great voice actress. She's really genuinely a great voice actress, and no matter how I feel about where Steven Universe went, I still love a lot about it. And Amethyst was always one of my favorites. Like, I just love her personality, and the voice acting is part of the reason for that. Michaela Dietz gave an amazing performance as Amethyst and really brought that character to life, both in terms of comedy and emotion. And so hearing her in just more stuff recently, I really like that. I just really like that. And obviously, you have Ashley Birch, who has been in a lot. I mean, she's Chloe from Life is Strange. She's Enid from OKKO. Mayuri Sheena from Steins Gate, and so much more. She's a pretty big name in voice acting, let's be honest. You have Dana Snyder as Scratch, and it's like, obviously, we know where we know that voice from. Let's be honest. Aqua Teen Hunger Force, Master Shake. That's the first thing you think of when you hear that voice. But he was also in other stuff like that, like Squidbillies. He was in Chowder. Um, and it's like, he just has one of those really recognizable voices. And so on and so forth. You have these great voice actors in this. Gray Griffin and John DiMaggio, they were members of the Voice Council, but also with them is Greg Baldwin and Kerry Walgren. So you have four very good, very established voice actors as the Ghost Council, and that's awesome. You have a lot of great voices in this series, and I think that's definitely a big positive for me, especially with there being so many voice actors that I just blatantly recognize, that I blatantly know. Um, but all in all, like I said, it wasn't the best hook in for a series I've seen. Honestly, stuff like the Owl House was much better at hooking me in right off the bat. But it was still it was still enjoyable. It was fun. It was enjoyable. It was entertaining, and there was definitely hints of there being more to it. There were definitely hints of just a more interesting future for this series. Um, but yeah, my biggest issue is definitely the pacing with 1A. Because it's like not only does Molly meet Scratch really quickly, but also the rest of the family. I think that the Scratch coming into contact with the rest of the family should have been saved for its own separate mini-sode. By putting it in the same mini-sode as with Molly, as him meeting Molly, I feel like that helped be part of the reason that mini-sode was so rushed, was so fast paced. I feel like that's part of the big issue. And the fact that not having all of that in the second mini-sode 1B, I think that is part of what helped it. Because yeah, you're still introduced to multiple new characters, but it's handled a lot more naturally in 1B. It doesn't feel as rushed and forced. But that's just my thoughts. Tell me in the comments below, what did you think of this first episode of the Ghost and Molly McGee? And I will say that this is something I am going to give a chance to. There is definitely a lot of potential with this series. It just really needs to hit that potential. So, sometime in the future, I don't know exactly when, but this will be added to the list. And that means sometime in the future, I will be continuing to react to it. Um, so, I hope you're all excited for more of this sometime in the future. Again, I don't know exactly when it's going to be right now. I'll have to see when it would be the best opening for my list to put it in there. But in the meantime, like I said, tell me your thoughts on this first episode. And as always, no spoilers, because I know at least one more episode is out. In fact, I think there's actually 5 episodes or so that are on Disney Plus right now. Because I think that I heard that a bunch of them were releasing on Disney Plus, like before most of those even aired on television. So it's like, okay. But let me know your thoughts either way without spoilers. And for now, I'm Connie and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.